everyone, and welcome to today's inspiring interview. I am over the moon thrilled to have with us today Miss Belinda MJ Brown. Now, Belinda and I connected a couple months ago, actually, and as soon as I got to know her and her work and the level of leadership and entrepreneurship and courage that she brings to everything that she does to help her clients, as well as herself and all the personal growth work that she has done, I knew that she would be perfect to be an addition to this course, particularly in this part where we're really diving into our energy styles and how that plays out in our life and how we use energy. See, the thing is, energy is something that we don't really talk about or teach about or learn about in our traditional education system. And it really is one of the foundations of what gives us the ability to lead both our own lives, ourselves, as well as our corporations, our clients, and whomever we work with. So this conversation is critically important, and I'm very excited because Belinda is just an expert at teaching people how to understand their energy, use their energy, and even recharge. I want to get into that a little bit because I think it's a large part of management of energy so that we can bring into the world all the things that we're meant to do and create. So with that, Belinda, thank you so much for being with us. If you want, why don't you go ahead and start? Maybe tell us a little bit about the work that you do with successful executive women, and then we'll dive into some energy conversation here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rose, to have me today. I'm really excited to be able to talk about this topic because, like you said, it's a topic that a lot of people don't want to mention that much. But you have to know that I have been working with executive leaders, specifically female, for the past 5 years, and these topics comes a lot. And we are actually focusing on this most of our time because this is what actually helped them not only to acquire new skills, but to give them, the peace of mind and the calmness that they need to be able to continue to grow and to lead their team and to inspire them. Because what we bring every day in our life, and that it's really constant, even if we cannot feel it, it's energy. And sometimes you enter in a room and you realize that the energy is really heavy or that the energy is really lively. And when I am addressing my clients and working, with those female executives that have challenges sometimes with executive presence or to stand up for themselves or just, to speak out, because this is not our actually core. We are more about consensus as, women. And sometimes when they get in the C-suite, it's become really complicated and they have a hard time to not feel drained after, meeting or feel not, as engaged as they were when they were actually director, for example, and getting in the C-suite. So it's really an interesting topic and using your energy and knowing how you can use it will actually create powerful results and you will be able to change everything in your life, not only what is happening at work, but also your relationship, because energy is flowing everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you're right. You walk into a room sometimes, and this is especially true, I think, in corporations, where you can feel like you walk in, you're like, okay, so this is how kind of the energy is in this corporation, whether it's negative, more stressful, more fear-based, or whether it's really creative and positive. And, you feel like people are open to share their ideas and to express things. And I think that synergy is either created or not created based on the leadership model and based on the person leading the team, let's say, is on a team level. So you as a leader, which is what we're cultivating in this program, you have to take responsibility for your own energy and what you are bringing to the room, because I have seen this over and over again. You could have a room full that's pretty low energy, even if it's not necessarily negative, it's just kind of tired, and you have the leader walk in the room and they're energized and they have done the inner work themselves that day and throughout their life to really be able to expand out and bring that to the team, and everything changes. Everything shifts around.
Yes.
So why don't we dig in a little bit and see how can we start understanding and maybe cultivating that sense of energy? I think the first thing is awareness, right? So how do we even become aware of the energy that we're waking up with and that we're bringing to the table, so to speak?
So this is a great question, and this morning I facilitated actually a workshop on conflict, and it was really interesting to see how people were reacting and responding actually in the room to the different situations that were brought up. And I asked them after the fact, I say, how did you feel? And most of the people didn't know, because they don't know how to assess their own emotions that will help them then to understand what is the energy behind it. So it was really interesting, and I think the first tip and the first maybe thing to do, it's assess yourself 3 times a day. Just check yourself in and do a reality check, and just ask yourself when you wake up in the morning, first thing, how do I feel today? What kind of energy do I want to bring in this world, or what kind of energy do I want to bring in this meeting? And then do that 2 or 3 times a day to start, and then it will become a habit. And each time that you are getting into a situation, whether it's confrontational or not, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a conversation with your spouse or your children, you will just have the intention and focus on what kind of energy you want to bring. And in this case, it was phenomenal how the energy in the room changed, because I let them, play, and I asked them to try to understand what did change in the room, and they could not pinpoint what it was. And I say, this is just the energy. Because you created awareness, and when we are aware, of course, we want to bring the positive energy. I don't know anybody waking up in the morning saying, I want to be in a conflict, or I want to bring this, bad energy and make everybody, feel bad. It's just, happen. So by just creating those first, step, you can create awareness. And then the more you practice, the more it becomes actually easy for you to become conscious about how you use your energy. Because this is the goal. It's not only being aware and say, okay, I can just, be aware of what's going on now, but how do you shift your energy as well to be able to bring in the conversation, in the room, or in anything that you do, this, I want, to say, uplifting energy, this one that will entrain and create, like you said earlier, innovation, creativity, smile, engagement. So in the corporate world, it's really something that it's needed. And so when the leaders are asking me to come in and I talk about energy first, they look at me and they say, this is not actually what we want. We want something more tangible. And I say, this is really tangible. You will see the difference in the result and in the outcome and in the engagement that you have, and the conversation will shift, and your company will innovate, co-create, and it's amazing. So give it, a try. I think that everyone that wants to get started and try to understand what we are talking about here, it's really about checking yourself every morning for lunch and for dinner before, going back home and say, what kind of energy am I, bringing here? How do I feel? And based on this, if you feel, bad, or if you feel, low, shake it a little bit. It's making, the energy moving, and you will see that it will change everything. And when you are conscious and have this intention of bringing positive energy, it just comes. Because like I said, no one wants to be consciously bringing negative energy or low energy in a room or at home.
Yes, exactly. So number 1 is awareness. That is key. And I love that. Do it three check-ins a day.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we find that we are in a space, and I've had this happen to me, and I'm sure everybody's experienced this, where we're like, all right, I am not feeling myself right now, whatever the case may be. So how do you logistically start transforming your energy? So you're in this negative space. Let's say you're going into a meeting, since we're in this scenario. So you're going to a meeting, something's off with you, you're not feeling it. Is there something that you can say in your mind, or an activity, something that you can do quickly to start to shake things up, as you said? What would you suggest just in that moment? What could we do?
So it really depends where you stand as well regarding your energy level, because you have different stage and different level of energy, and based on where you are, you might find first to acknowledge where you are without judgment. Because a lot of my clients say, oh, I find myself in this situation where I was actually having this negative energy, and I knew that I was there. And sometimes you need to be there, because it's also sometimes something that you have to acknowledge about yourself, or a situation, a value that is not honored, something that it's just a red flag. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that there is something to address. So when you are at what I call, level 1, it's really the energy where you are totally out of control, meaning that you feel at the effect of life, you feel at the effect of the situation, and you are just, stuck there. I just, ask, people to fight a little bit. And this is, really interesting when we talk about this, because they say, I don't want to be angry, or I don't want, to be in a conflictual situation. And I say, yeah, but you need to get out of this victim mode energy, because this is actually not helping you. It's not helping anybody else. And it doesn't mean that you have, to fight hard. It's just about, okay, fighting yourself and say, okay, what can I, do to get myself out of this situation, because this is unbearable for me. And then you can start, to shift to another level, but you have to be gentle with yourself and just accept that you are in this, place. We are all getting there every single day. We are, going from different level of energy, and this is totally normal. This is what I explain people, because there is this culture in our society where there is, good or bad, and you are a bad person if you are angry. You are a bad person if you are bringing negative energy. You are not. You are just a human being, and human beings are, going through the moves and the moods of a day, and they just need also to monitor their own energy. Sometimes when we are, getting in those, place where the energy is really low, it's because we didn't honor sleep, eat, the basic, things that needs to happen for us to have the right energy, the one that will empower us instead of hindering and limiting, us in what we want to do, and bring this actually low energy because we are not in control. So this would be, one of the steps. If you find yourself in this conflictual situation, you are, angry, get, to the next level, take responsibility. What is your responsibility in this situation? And this will help you to shift your energy to another level where you will be able to be at service and really to think selflessly. So you have different, levels and different, way to address this. There is a language around energy as well that people need to learn. And I know that you have great material about energy, and everything is connected. So it's just about learning the language, identifying exactly where you are and how you can, use actually, or channel or transform this energy to serve you instead of to limit you. Because when you have this low energy or this negative energy, most of the time, what does happen? Nothing, or not the outcome that you are expecting.
Yes.
So if you can shift it and get to a point where you feel happy, you feel comfortable, you feel in control of your energy, even if it's not the ideal outcome, you are already moving up one step.
Yes. Yeah. I love that you brought this up, because I think for a lot of people, sometimes it's just the basics. It's really, did I get enough sleep? Is there something going on that I didn't eat? Did I skip a meal? Am I hungry? I know for me, hunger, that's just, if I'm hungry, I'm like a monster. I have to eat something. But I love that we bring it down to that physical level, and that there are ways for us to continually up level the scale. And I know what you're talking about on that scale. So I'd like to go into that a little bit, maybe more explicitly, about that energy scale that we're talking about here. And the other point that I really like is that anger, let's just take anger. It's not inherently negative. It's just like anything else. It's pointing something out to us that we maybe need to pay attention to and figure out a little bit. And I know personally, anger for me triggers me into a very high level of positive energy, because anger tends to be triggered by things that I feel are unjust, right? Mm-hmm. So if I see something, if I see a news report, if I see an article and it triggers my anger, I don't look at that as negative. I look at that as, what in this is triggering me that's a deeply held value.
Yes.
Right? That now I need to fight in whatever way that is, however it is I deem, okay, so I need to work on this particular thing, because that's what, for me, my soul is telling me. Like, it's triggering my anger because that value is something that is deeply held in me that I need to work on helping to manifest at its highest level. So, I just wanted to point that out, that really these negative emotions can be highly, highly useful in our lives. Mm-hmm. And you're not a bad person. They're not to be ignored. So do you want to go into maybe a little bit about these different levels of energy that you're touching upon? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so the level 1 that I was talking about, it's really what we call, the victim level. And it's really the place where we feel, powerless. And what is usually happening is because our thought process is focused on it's happening to me instead of happening for me. So you can, reframe that. And I know that it seems to be silly, but sometimes just by reframing and changing, a word or two in the thought process that we have, it can help us to shift our energy. And anyway, behind any words, there is energy as well. And this is what the universe is made of. For the level, 2, it's really more about, conflict, anger, and most of the time, the thought process behind, this energy, it's more about, I want to win and you will lose, because you are, in a mindset where there is a winner and a loser, because this is where we live. 80% of the people in America think that way. They think that if they are not winning, it means that they are losing, instead of to see things a little bit, differently at another, level. But that's totally fine. Like I said, there is no judgment here. It's just about triggering, like you said, a value or something that is not met, and people will fight for it. And I think that it has brought a lot of benefits in our society. Today, women can vote. We have, also no slavery anymore. We have a lot of things that we have, fought for that were really useful. Then you can get to another, level of energy, which is level, 3. It's really the level of responsibility. So take, ownership for what you feel and what you are bringing to the table as well, because in any given situation, you are part of the solution. And it means that you have been, also part of the challenge. So whatever, happened in your life, and I know that it's not always easy to hear for some people that had really, really bad situation. I'm thinking about personally about one situation that happened, in my family, and it was really, really a difficult, situation for a long, long time. I admire my youngest, sister, who unfortunately had, this situation happen to her, and seeing her at 19 years old, taking responsibility and say, okay, here I have the choice to forgive and to do something, different for my life, because if not, I will be angry all the time, and I will, bring this, pattern again and again, and this negative energy in my life that I don't need now. So whatever, happened to you, you have always the choice to let this behind, or at least, to overcome, the challenge, and to move yourself up. The past doesn't have, to define yourself, and this is what is the beauty of energy. The energy, can, flow, and you can, make everything that you want out of it. What I wanted to point out as well, the same way that you said it earlier, this low energy, or what we call negative energy, has also benefits. So the benefits, for example, for athletes, they go a lot on this low level of energy, because this is the energy where we have the most actually strength. So this is the adrenaline, the cortisol, the fight or flight mode, and this is where we can do extraordinary things. I am always, referring to this, woman that one day was driving with her infant in her car. And what, did happen is that they had an accident. She was able to get out of the car and to lift the car to get her baby out. It took her 2 months to recover, because energy-wise, it requires so much. But this is what I'm talking about. So nothing is bad. It's just after that, you will need a lot of time to recover and to replenish your energy. So when you look at this, negative energy, just, tell yourself that in the morning you have 100%, bottle of energy that you can, drink all day. And you have the choice to have also a faucet next to it to be able to replenish it. And you have the choice to use everything and to put it in the drainer, in those negative energy, or to say, okay, I'm, looking on the other side, and I will, use my energy and replenish it with the faucet next door. So this is basically what it is for this, 3 first level. The other level are really, really interesting, because this is really when the energy is co-creating and generating even more energy. So at level 4, it's more about being at service. So it's more about looking out for other people. It's about empathy. It's about being able to be selfless and be having a strong ego, but a healthy ego, meaning that we don't need to have the recognition of others to be able to evolve. It means that we are in a place where the energy is just, flowing around us, and we attract people around us that either, might support us or might, be in need, but we are at service. And this is a really powerful place to be as well. And in our communities, I think that it will be well needed. I see so many, unfortunately, a non-profit organization that try to motivate their volunteers, and they come from a place of level 1, level 2. Oh, we cannot, do anything. We are at the effect of life, or we are at the effect of the fundraising, and engaging their people at level 4 would be total shift, and they will, bring different results as well. Level, 5, it's really a place of reconciliation. So it's a place where everybody is win. So it's a win-win situation. There is no, like I said earlier, no conscious about having an ego. The ego just disappear, and this is what we are doing now today. So we met a couple of months ago. You contacted me and you say, let's co-create something. Let me ask you if you can be part of this. And I told you yes, because there is everything to win. There is no limitation, and this is this place of really reconciling with each other and starting to consider that there will maybe opportunities in everything that we do, even if sometimes it's not obvious. But this is a place of win-win. Level 6, it's really a place of starting, to feel, connected, interconnected. So meaning that what is happening to me, it's impacting, other people, and just, seeing that the energy is actually moving through us at any given moment, and being really aware of it, be able to experience joy. And joy is not happiness. It's really this excitement and thing that happens that sometimes we don't notice. And this is certainly one of the energy that gives you the most. It will replenish you. And for 1 minute spent in joy, you will have, 10 hours of energy. So this is amazing. And the level 7, this is really the place of non-judgment. This is something that it's really difficult to do for us, because we want to fight. The world, it has, his injustice. And this is really a place where I think only a few people are able to say all the time. So monks, religious people that have a spiritual, practice on not only on a daily basis, but spending their time there. If not, in the society that we have been, living here, we will be totally like aliens. People will not even talk to us, because we'll be in this place where nothing matters, and not because we don't care, but because we know that this, is how the energy works. So this is where we tap into during, the day. So there is no good place to be. There is just intentional place to be, and you have to be deliberate about where you want to be for each action that you are taking, because the result and the outcomes will be totally different. So if you go to an interview meeting, get to know yourself, not in a level 1 or 2, and say, oh yeah, I will fight to get this job. Get to a place of win-win. What can I bring to the table? What kind of energy? And this will shift, even if you don't have all the skills. It will shift actually the person that is in front of you, because you start to connect at a deeper level. So I am really passionate about this topic, and I would love to tell you more and to continue to share with you. So let me know what you want to know, Rose.
Yeah, so I want to put this in a little bit of a context of everything else that the students are learning at this point, because one of the things in my organization that I'm always teaching is this shift from our competitive instincts to our collaborative instincts. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you have a beautiful model that explains it in a language that I don't use, which is that level 1 and 2 energy I see as really our competitive instincts. It's yes. That win or lose, that it's either me or you, we're fighting. And then as soon as they shift up into that level 3 and beyond, they start to move into their really cooperative and collaborative based instincts. And then it's really interesting to me at the higher levels, like 5, 6, 7, where you start to really see the interconnectivity of everything and everyone. And you talk about it here on the level of energy, right? Which I fully believe everything is energy, and we are all interconnected. But on a practical level in the physical world, it's almost like that interconnectivity is now manifesting through our technology. So through our availability, you know, you can have this conversation, you and I, through the internet, I can now talk to everyone, and I have been all over the world, and it's been brilliant. So that level of interconnectivity not only is on the level of our energy, and we can play with that and we can see that, but it's now in the touch and feel world of our technology that's really connecting us on this level. So for me, I see it, it's almost forcing us to shift over, whereas before we kind of had the luxury of staying in 1 or 2 because we were physically separated, in countries and barriers. Now, I think what a lot of people are really experiencing and feeling and being challenged by is that we have to shift. Like, we have to go into collaboration and expand our compassion and our empathy beyond our family and our tribe and our country to everything and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so talking on the level of changing the globe and changing the paradigm in our world, that's where we're at. So we're going from all of these systems and laws that were based in that old level of consciousness, let's say level 1 and 2.
Yes.
And now we need to actually create new systems, new laws, new ways of thinking and being and interacting with each other that are at these higher levels, which I really believe we're getting there. We're almost there.
Mm-hmm.
And that level of consciousness will be able to solve, so to speak, all of the challenges that seem to really be plaguing us right now. Everything from war and famine to our global financial crisis, those sorts of issues, they're kind of going to go away naturally as we consciously shift and to create new systems in this new levels, these higher levels of consciousness. So I think what you're just saying is beautifully illustrating that shift in a way that we can really wrap our minds around.
Yes, no, definitely. And I like, what you are saying now. I think that we have, always the choice. I think that a lot of people are resisting the change and getting, into it. But even the internet, it's part, of the energy. It's just energy, going through. There is nothing, really physical. It's just, happening. And this is really fascinating to see that finally we are at a place where we are able to get, to this conscious, level where we can connect with anybody on the planet. And really reshaping this unity and this oneness level where we were talking about at level, 6. This is, amazing. So when I was, certified with the tool that I'm using, the Energy Leadership Index, about, 5 years and a half ago, 6 years ago, at first it was challenging for me because I was coming from a place of level, 1 and 2, like, many, people. And I could not, comprehend what it meant because it was above my level of awareness. So it was like here, it was, okay, I was, seeing here, but I could not, see what was, above it. And then it's a process. And I think that people are getting more open to explore what it is. Scientists and researchers have been doing a lot of work. Recently, I listened, to a talk from Judy Glazer, and she was talking about how actually our cells are able to communicate with each other from one country to another. And this is fascinating. This is energy at its best, and it brings oneness really into place. So I think that to be a great leader of our life, we really want to focus on growing our awareness about what energy is and what it brings into our life and how it impacts others, because it's like this butterfly effects or ripple effects. If we can shift our own energy, a lot of people say, yeah, I cannot, change that. If I change that, it will not change the world. It will, because we are all interconnected. So if you change, something for yourself, in yourself, for yourself, and it will, ripple to your neighbor, and then it will, ripple to their sons. And this is just an ongoing process. And now with internet and with all the capabilities that we have, it can even, go faster.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the really exciting part. And I think that's also the very scary part.
Of course it is.
1 and 2, like how fast things are changing and how adaptable we really have to become. But what's beautiful is that these higher levels, that adaptability is almost built into it. You start to see the fluidity of things, and it's not, me against you, but it's about us. And so I think a lot of those fears take care of themselves as we go up that chain of consciousness. So we talked a little bit about on the physical level, sleep well, eat well.
Yes.
Let's just get the basics down. But then how do you work with people on an individual level to help them start to really play with this? I mean, part of what we're doing in this course is like gratitude work.
Yes.
Having them get into that sort of space and energy, transforming a lot of their negative experiencing in the past to really see the lessons that came out of that and to build appreciation even around the negative things. So we're doing a lot of work like that too in this course. But I'd love for you to bring, any kind of ideas or techniques that maybe you use that you can share with us. That would be great.
Yes, of course, of course. So yeah, of course, gratitude, it's really a part of any coaching that I do with my clients, and bringing, awareness to energy and the language. It's also about reframing. When they're, in a situation, I just ask them, what kind of response is it? Where are you on the scale? Is it, a response of level 1, level 2, level 3? And without judgment, asking them to finally see where they are. And based on this, asking them then what kind of response or at which level you want to respond now that you have evaluated that you are at level 2, and if you want to be at a level 5, how does that look like? What would be actually this response? And it works beautifully. And you have some I have also some tables to help clients, because sometimes they don't know exactly how to do it the first few times. But it's about, if you feel that you are second guessing yourself a lot, you are in this level 1 where you are a victim and you don't dare to do things, and I say, how would that look like for someone that was at level 3? And they come up with the answer, and I say, how long would it take for you to get there, or what do you need to be able to get to this place? And usually it just pop, and they say, easy, I do it. So it's really interesting, because then you can start to play, and we have great conversation and really interesting conversation with those CEOs, leaders, and other women that I'm coaching, because, for example, we are women, and women has been a label in America where it's a minority. And coming, from this place, it positions, us already at this, level 1. So I am a woman, it will be hard for me. And I help, women to reframe it. And I say, okay, just, forget that you are, woman. What, would it feel like if your gender was not involved? And where would you see yourself, and what, would be your response? And it works. And this is amazing to see how just by shifting your mindset or your thought process, you can, go from level 1 to a level 3 or level 4. And a level 3, it's already something that it's bringing a lot of positive energy and empowering you, and just taking responsibility. Okay, I can do something different. It's not because I am a woman that I have to wear the label everywhere and say, okay, this is because I am a woman that I will not be able to get there. When you start your day thinking that, I cannot say anything else and say, okay, so if you start your day like this, no wonder that it ends this way. And if you change your thought process, it can be different. For me, it was really it took really a shift in 2007 when I moved in this country. I'm French, and I was born and raised in Paris, and I lived my entire life in Europe, working for global corporations. And when I came in the US, they asked me if I was a female, and they asked me what was my ethnicity. I am mixed. My dad is black. My mom is white. Different, background, a lot of different things. But I never, asked myself this question. And it was so disempowering. I felt like, oh, wow. And they told me, okay, so you are a minority. And I said, no, I'm not. No, because for me, it was like saying, okay, so having, this, I am, in this, level 1. I am in this place where, because I'm a minority, I am entitled to, or because I'm at level 1, it means that it will be harder for me. This is not where I want to feel. This is not where I want to be. This is not the kind of energy that I want to be evolving in. And this has been, really pivotal time for me. I found out later about the levels of energy, but it was a pivotal point where I didn't know exactly how it was impacting my life, and energy was impacting my life. But I see that every single day with a female or people from a diversity background that I'm, coaching and helping them just to get out of this, place of low energy that it's so draining that it just leads you to apathy or then conflict and wanting just to be in conflict mode, and it's draining, and nobody wants to be there.
Yeah, I think what you just said about identity is so important, because I had a very similar experience because I grew up in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And, the island that I came from, my family's been there for like 5 or 6 generations now, but it's a very, very small white population, right? And basically 80% of the island is black from different places in Africa and the Caribbean. So on the island, I was a minority, right? Because I was white. And then I moved to Connecticut into the United States, and all of a sudden I was a minority again, because now they considered me Hispanic. Like it was, so I was like, I was too white for the island, and then I was too not white for Connecticut. And it was this like strange idea. And then that really, it hit home for me when I was in college, because I was engaged to someone, and I had met, you know, a friend. I had known her maybe for a couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she was like, "Oh, so is your fiance coming up for the weekend?" I said, "Yeah, he is." And then she met him, and he happened to be white, right? And she pulled me aside the next day, and she goes, "Wow, I really wasn't expecting you to be marrying a white guy. I thought he'd be Black or Hispanic." And that just blew me away.
Yes.
Like, I had never thought about myself in any of those contexts and all those preconceived notions of what was going on. So when it comes to that, how the outer world is going to define you, talk about level one, like I
Yes.
wasn't at that level at all. I wasn't. Why wouldn't I be marrying somebody who was white, you know, like, or black, or whatever the case may be? So it's that identity piece I never took on as a racial identity, like you were saying. And I never had the hangups and all the constraints that would have come had I taken on those identity pieces.
Of course.
Right? So I think that's a beautiful point, is what do you consider who you are? And that is a choice. It doesn't matter what the outside world is saying. It only matters what you are saying to who you are. So if you think you're a woman and that brings limitations, it will. If you think I am me, regardless of my gender, and this is what I'm going to do, that's what you're going to do. And when I start talking about what I call the cognitive world, which is what is just made up of our belief system and our laws and everything that's imagined, right? These are just things we make up. We make them up out of thin air, and we think they're real. And when we start to really understand, no, they're not real at all. And they're completely malleable, and you can change them and make better beliefs and better systems.
Yeah.
That, I think, is the moment when people realize how free they actually are.
Yeah. And this is really about freedom, like you said, and it's the freedom of choosing, because one of my motto is really about awareness. Awareness is your power to choose your experience of life. And so when you become aware about the type of energy that you are surrounding yourself with, and like you said earlier, you met, this friend, and she brought, this energy, you could have, taking on and say, okay, maybe I can, absorb that. Or maybe sometimes unconsciously you absorb, those kind of energy, and it just drains you, and then you are not, or you are just a shadow of yourself. And this is really an interesting concept. A lot of people don't think that it's impact them that much, but the energy that it's behind those words, because it means, self-limitation, it means everything else, this energy will actually limit you. So this is how actually everything works, and I love the fact that you were able to experience this and just to stay out of it and say, this is who I am, but it's always surprising. But a lot of people are unconscious and don't know that this is impacting them. I was mentioning an example this morning related to empathy, because we were talking about conflict management, and a lot of people were saying, yeah, but I don't know why you want to bring empathy in the mix. And I say, because empathy, it's really a place where you can just put yourself in the shoes of other people. And I brought up, the topic of this young African boy, 6-7 years old. He was in a documentary. I cannot, remember the name. And he was in this documentary, and he was smiling. He was super happy. Everything was doing well. And they interview him, and at the end of the documentary, they just tell him, oh, yeah, we'll do everything to be able to help you, because with the state in which you are living, this is unacceptable. But the little boy didn't know that it was unacceptable for him. It was his reality. And he became unhappy after that. He became really unhappy because he saw pity in the eyes of other people. And this is what started, to define him. He didn't know, 6-7 years old. How can you know that you have to protect your own energy from all of this? And so he became a victim for a while. And then they went back to interview him years later. And he said, you know what? I wish that, people, when they look at the world and look at other, human beings, they look at them as equal. Because I felt like I was nobody. I felt a victim, and I lived as a victim for a while, until I just, realized that I needed to shift my mindset, and everything is coming to this energy. Because when you have somebody looking at you as a poor, as a minority, as you feel this energy, because the energy is just, the negative energy is so strong. Sometimes you are just unaware of it and you just absorb it, and then it becomes your biggest, burden.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But I think what's beautiful is that as soon as you become aware, changing it, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be like this dramatic, hard uncovering process kind of that we used to think about in more traditional psychology, right? You're going to have to go through years of therapy. No, you literally, you make a different decision.
Yes.
That's all it is. You say, I'm not going to take this on anymore. And it's done. That doesn't mean you're not going to have those recurring thoughts and patterns
of course.
that tend to be there, but now you recognize them and you continually choose something different, right? You said, no, that's the old way. I'm not choosing that anymore. And that's incredibly powerful. Like you said, it starts on the individual level, but that's what has that ripple effect to change everything. So the more you shift up, so to speak, within yourself in your own daily life practices, the more everyone you interact with is going to feel that shift and hopefully be positively affected by it. So instead of us putting out all those negative ripples, like for that child you mentioned, right? Now we can start putting out those positive ripples that, even for the people who aren't walking around on a very consciously aware level and are being affected by other people's energy. If that's the case, then at least you can be that point of positivity, right? So you can unconsciously be lending your positivity to them. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, definitely. And I think that this is where is the beauty now that we have so many people that become aware of not only energy. Some other people, don't want, to talk about energy yet, but they think about positivity. And this, impacts, people tremendously. It can change a life. It can prevent, somebody, to commit, suicide. It can, prevent, somebody to get a divorce. It can, prevent somebody to be in a bad situation or to end up, in jail or make, bad decision. It's just about thinking about how you want to impact the world when you wake up in the morning and what kind of, like I said, energy you want to bring to just make a little difference. And I think that as human, beings, we have, created some goals that are really high for ourselves. So we want to change the world. What does that mean? And a lot of people get actually limited by this because it seems to be so vast and so big, and nobody is doing, anything because it's too big. It's the same way that we are, doing with our clients when we are, coaching them. If they have, this big vision and this big goal, they will never, get to it if we cannot chunk it out. And chunking it out, it's just, starting with yourself and starting, with your neighbor or your children and see how it will, impact you. And it feels so much better when you start to shift your energy. You will attract different people. This is amazing. The shift in people that you are, attracting. You meet random people that you might have wanted to meet for a long, long time, or you meet, random, people that are on the same frequency that you are energy-wise. And this is what happened with us. This is amazing. So every day create, new opportunities because you are not, like this in your small world. You are just open and say, okay, the energy is here, so let me get it. And you attract everything that is there to support, you in your personal growth, your business growth, your organizational growth, your community growth. And I truly believe that this is how actually the energy, works. It's like energy attracts energy. So if you are, in this negative, state of mind, you will be with those negative, people, and you will, dwell on it again and again. And if you start, to open up to the possibility of shifting your energy, you attract different type of people and you have fun and you experience, joy. And it's like, contagious.
It is contagious. I want to go back to one point because I'd love if you explain just a little bit more. You said, you have 100% energy, let's say, when you wake up, right? And then you've got the faucet that you can replenish your glass there, or you can just dump it down the drain. So on the faucet side of things, what are some of the activities that we do to actually replenish our energy during the day so that we can really feel like we have something to go to when we're feeling say, all right, let me refill. Let me take a minute here and top myself off. So what are some of those faucet activities
So what I do with my corporate client, because they are really busy women, I ask them actually, and I didn't, create, this evaluation, but I ask them to really measure their peak and valleys of energy during the day, physical energy, because I want them also to start to look at energy as a whole, not only as the what is happening and that we don't see, but at the physical level, what is happening. And most of the time we have our biological clock. It's different, for everybody. Some people are having their peaks in the morning, some people have their peaks in the afternoon, and some have, their peaks at night. So when you start to understand this, you know that when you are at your peak, this is when you create and when you go in really complex project. When you are in your valleys, this is when you decide to take a nap. Don't be shy. Take a nap, 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be the entire afternoon. It will make you more productive after all. It can be having a snack. It can be having a conversation with somebody that you love. Call your mom. Call your best friend for 10 minutes. The energy will be flowing, and then whoom, the energy is coming back. Don't call the naggy.
Yeah.
Friend, but to call the person that really lifts you up, and just spend a few minutes. It can be reading quotes. It can be meditating. A lot of different things that I'm bringing to my client, and they choose whatever they want to do. Some of them decide that they want to do yoga in their office. They do yoga in the office. Some people take a nap. Some people will have fruit. Some will have nuts. You start, to understand your peaks and valleys and understand how it impacts you. And this is how you replenish. And most of the time when you end up, your day with those, different, techniques and small pocket of energy replenishment or recharge, the same way that you recharge your phone, then you have, boost again for about, an hour or 90 minutes, something that on that, range. And then be aware that it will, go down again, and then you need, to recharge your batteries again. And it can be, taking a walk. Like I said, it can be anything that makes you feel happy. Some people like, to read an article, a page of a book, listen to music, dance in their office. It does happen too. I have a lot of different ways. And you have to be creative, and you have to find something that works for you. It's not something that is universal. Of course, eating, I think it's certainly one of the things that everybody needs to do, but then it really depends on your personalities and also how well you connect, and depend on if you are kinesthetic, if you are auditive, whatever it is, but you need just to be a little bit stimulated. Yeah.
Beautiful. So I love that. So it's really anything that you enjoy doing.
Yes.
All of those are great examples, and it doesn't have to be long. Because I think yoganess, like to replenish, we're going to have to, set aside an hour, and who has an hour, right? During their work.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the other key thing is everybody has these different peaks.
Yes.
In our society, it's very geared for morning people. Like we have this pressure that, at 5 o'clock in the morning, you better be ready to go. And there are some people that's just not going to happen. But however, 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when they're creative, and they're on fire. So beautiful. So again, it's really about this depth of knowledge of self, and that's where we're going into all of these things. So Belinda, I think we have covered an amazing amount of depth and breadth, and I think we've given tremendous value here. So what do you think, considering that the people taking this course, they're really on point to figure themselves out in terms of a purpose and a mission. You work a lot with people in their careers, high-level executives and entrepreneurs. So in terms of energy, do you think our energy can be telling us or leading us in a certain way to our purpose? Do you think there's a way for us to read it that we can start saying, all right, so maybe when I do this or I think about this, it gives me this level of energy. So maybe that's guiding me, so to speak, towards something that's very important.
Definitely, and this is what I engage my client to do when we are working together. It's really to see what is actually bringing them the most energy, and they know it's like a compass. It's knowing that not only they can use it and shift it the way that they want it, but also to listen to what is happening. Because when you are, in an activity, for example, that brings you a lot of energy, it tells you that you are, on the right path and the right direction. And when you are working on a project and it becomes to be draining, if you took, your different, breaks and you feed yourself correctly, you had, enough sleep and everything, and you still feel stuck, follow, the energy and just, say, okay, how do I reframe it? Maybe this is not, the way that I should, go about with this project. And they just, shift it, or let's, get a brainstorming session with a team member and let, see where am I missing, something. And this is what creative teams have been, doing. And that's why the creativity, it's so important in some of those teams in marketing, media, but also for technology. But they listen to the energy. When it feels, right, you feel it. You feel that you are, enthusiastic, you feel energized. When you are not in the right direction, most of the time, the energy is telling you, you feel, drained, it's not, moving, and you get, stuck. And so use, energy as a compass. At the time when you are able to shift, those energy, start, to listen and to see where the energy is actually, leading you. And like we said earlier, we meet, the right, people. We made the right, solution at the right time when we are able to listen and to follow, the energy that it's guiding us.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the only thing I'd like to add to that is this feeling of going to fear and feeling stuck. And I only bring this up because I know a lot of people who are in this kind of growth and expanded trajectory, we tend to naturally hit our own barriers. So when we are expanding and we are going after that bigger dream, let's say, or that bigger goal, it is normal for us to contract a bit. It's normal for us to hit resistance. So it takes some discernment to go through the process and understand whether that negativity that's bubbling and maybe the apathy, that level 1 and level 2, whether it's really, this is not the direction I'm supposed to be going.
Or is it the fear?
Yes, exactly. Or whether it's just your fear barrier, which will always come up when you're about to expand. So that does take a little bit of discernment. And the key, I think, is to tune into the negativity and really say, what is this telling me? Not just to experience it, but what is this telling me? Because what you'll find when you get, kind of good at this work is when you hit the fear barrier towards going for a bigger goal, there's always going to be excitement underneath that fear. There's always going to be that bubbling up, rather than when you're really going in the wrong direction. Underneath that is going to feel super heavy. It's going to feel drained. There's nothing there. So you'll get to understand that difference in that superficial negative energy, I'll call it. Because when you're going for that bigger dream, definitely feel underneath the fear is all of your courage and all of your excitement. Everything else is just bringing you up. So you just have to get through it. And I know you come across that, Belinda, in your work.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what we do, right? We're always reaching for the next level.
Yes, and this is, a good point that you are, making here. I think that a lot of, people feel that when they are experiencing this negative, energy or this, fear, it's shifting to another, direction. I think that, like you said, you have, to use discernment and making sure that you are in the right, place and asking you the right, questions. Because, of course, fear, will come up, because fear is there and it's really an emotion to help us and to protect us. So we have to also trust and to really be in tune with what, the fear is. Sometimes being, fearful, it's useful when you are, crossing the road. You don't want, to be hit by a car, but you have also to make sure that this is exactly something that will protect you. And this is not, something that is there to limit you. And there is, those two notions that you have to become familiar with when you start to work and play with the different levels of energy or any other, type of consciousness work that you are doing. It's really being able to identify when the fear is real and it is really here to protect you, and when it's here actually to limit you based on past, behavior, past belief, or something that is actually here to limit you. So, yeah.
Exactly. And that is one of the most important messages as we go through this, because as you get on track and you start really fine-tuning your purpose and your mission, whatever level that mission is, the next level is going to scare you. That's part of the process. The bigger you get, you dream a little bit bigger, you get a little bit more of that vision, and to get there is going to be scary. But that's kind of, if you want, that's the price we pay for continuing our growth and our expansion. So Belinda, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing all of this. This is an amazing piece that I know is going to just bring tremendous value and growth for all of our students. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Rose, for having me today. I was, really excited to be here, and I know that the conversation that we had will definitely help and enable most of your students to get to the next level. So thank you very much for bringing this material and this content out to help, people to find their mission. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And before I forget, I always forget this part. Can you please let people know how they can contact you and get to know you and your work more?
Okay, of course. So, yeah, people, can definitely, contact me and visit my website. So my website, it's belindamjbrown.com. And I have also a corporate website, but this one you will be able to find me really easily. So belindamjbrown.com. And you can reach me as well directly, by email, by emailing belinda@belindamjbrown.com. So I am also available on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out, have, conversation. Just, talk me about, anything related, to energy or female, in the workplace, and how I can, support, you. And I will, be here and available and working, with Rose as well, and bringing you tremendous, topics and value and content to support your personal and professional growth.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again. And we will see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.